If you didn't know, I turned 47 this month. So I wanted to create a quick video on the top 10 things that I've learned that I do differently now in my 40s than I did in my 20s. And I was going to do 47 items, but quite honestly, even if I did that video, which would be probably an hour, I don't think anyone wants to listen to 47 items. So I tried to pick my top 10. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa from Pretty Fabulous, and I help online businesses create beautiful digital downloads using Adobe InDesign. So if this sounds like you or something you might be interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, and I do unboxings on Saturdays. All right, so let's just jump into my list. So the first thing that I do differently than before is I really think about my Clifton strengths and how that affects every part of what I do to be more efficient. I'm like a time management coach for myself and trying to be more productive. And this is really something that I wish I had known before. I encourage everybody everywhere to go out, take the Clifton Strengths test, forget about Myers-Briggs, it's too general, forget about the DISC personality test, the big five. I've actually administered and am certified in like almost all of those for my HR career, and I can tell you this is like light years beyond that. And even the Enneagram, which is kind of fun, doesn't really explain all of the things. So for example, I love having to-do lists, and that makes me really, really efficient. And I would have never known that because in the past, I've had boyfriends who are like, why do you have so many to-do lists? Like, stop doing that. You're ruining your life. You're stressing yourself out. And quite honestly, it would stress me out not to have a to-do list. But now that I know that about myself, not only do I keep more to-do lists, I just totally ignore people who try to tell me to live life according to the way they think it should be. And that has made all the difference. All right, number two, something else is I no longer set goals. So I used to think that goals were the answer. In fact, there was that awful study, fake study from Harvard, where they said all these Harvard graduates are millionaires that had set goals and blah, 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 right? That is a fake study. It was totally made up. I used to quote that study, especially in corporate America, to all these people when we did the year-end review. And I'm like, you have to make your goals. So anyway, so I don't believe in setting goals at all, and I don't do it. Instead, I do projects, as you know, and I have my to-do list and I still get things done that I want to do. Number three is I no longer journal or feel compelled that I need to go to therapy. And before, I used to think like this was the answer to any major setback in life. Like if you're depressed over a breakup or somebody dies or something bad happens to you, you should really go and talk it out. And I'm not saying like if that works for you that you shouldn't or this is bad to get professional help, but most of the time it left me just kind of stuck in this negative space where I'm reliving the worst memories of my life, talking about it, feeling it all over again for the second or the third time. So there was that really great quote in the latest movie from the Harry Potter series. It was the adult version. I can't remember. And he said, it was Newt. And he was like, aren't you worried? Someone asked him that. And he said, why would I worry? That's like suffering twice. And so I really feel like for me, like journaling and therapy is kind of like suffering twice about something. Like I would rather just forget it and move on. Number four is my new phrase is be a victor and not a victim. I really liked it. I heard it in Joel Osteen's quotes. If you ever listen to any of his sermons, he says it quite frequently. And it basically just means taking responsibility for anything that happens. Like I used to, like little kids are always like, I didn't do it. Joey did it. It was his idea, right? Like, and to me, that's kind of like being a victim mentality. And I would rather just be in charge of my own life, whether it's going well or it's going poorly, and just know that I ultimately, at the end of the day, everything that happens is up to me and my responsibility for how things kind of play out and how I react. Number five is minimalism. So in my 20s, I used to have so many clothes. I remember I rented an apartment and I said, I really need a 2-bedroom with 2 walk-in closets. And they were like, so were there 2 of you? I'm like, no, I have so many clothes. I need 2 closets. And even then I remember running out to the Container Store and buying all this Elfa shelving because I didn't have enough room in the dressers for the folded stuff. So I had this whole Elfa system put in this rental apartment. It's such a colossal and huge waste of time. Anyways, now I'm a minimalist. And honestly, if I had not become a minimalist, I would not have paid off my $190,000 worth of debt. And that's to me like the most important thing in the world is being debt free. And the more stuff you have, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you just start throwing stuff away, you will actually have less debt. I promise. All right. Number 6, I learn through failure. So before I used to be like in this analysis paralysis, like, should I, shouldn't I? And I would research it and I would ask 1,000 different people. And thank God the internet was not that advanced back when I was in my 20s as it is now, because I could have totally gone down this rabbit hole of like looking all these like reference points up. But now I know I learned through failure. So whatever I want to do, I just go do it. And that's a big reason why when we talk about courses and launching digital products, I am not a beta tester. I always just say, if you want to do it, just go out and try it. If no one buys it, then no one buys it. Big deal. At least you tried, move on to the next thing. Versus, I think, honestly, the amount of time it takes me to create a product and put it out there and sell it is the same amount of time it takes somebody else to research it, think about it, and then maybe not do it. So to me, I just say, forge ahead, do whatever you want, and let things fall where they will. Number 7 is filter all advice. I used to, in the past, if I heard a quote, especially now, like people are bombarded with all these quotes on like how they should think and how they should act. And, I used to think these were gospel because they sound really good. Like, for example, there is a quote that Power Sheets does a lot, which is comparison is the thief of joy. That is not true. Some people who have competition as one of their top strengths for Clifton strengths excel when there's competition. They succeed faster and they are like totally motivated and excited by that. They're not sad about it. So, don't believe every quote you see and think like, oh, because I don't do this, now I feel bad. There's always that other quote that says, you should have goals so big that it scares your competitors or small-minded people, right? Like, it's very condescending, first of all, the way that quote is worded. And second, you don't need big goals. I have a to-do list every day that I absolutely love, and it helps me to get things done. I've never sat around and been like, oh my God, I wish I had bigger goals. Like, it doesn't matter. Just do what you love and what makes you comfortable. Number 8 is, who cares if you're right? And before, I used to be like the correction police. I don't even know how to describe it. And this is before people had a lot of smartphones, but if someone had said something that was incorrect, I felt compelled to like correct them. Like, so for example, in the old days, like we were watching a movie the other day and Ben said, oh, I can't believe Liam Neeson is playing a waiter, like a bit part in this movie. First of all, it was not Liam Neeson. However, the old me would have been like, that is not Liam Neeson. I would have looked it up on IMDb, shown Ben, and then we would sit around at the end of the movie and watch the credits together so I could prove to him that it wasn't Liam Neeson. How big of a waste of time is that? And like, how rude is that? Like, who cares? Like, that is my attitude now. So now when he says that, I'm just like, yeah, weird. Whatever. Like, who cares about those little things? Like, next time you go to correct somebody, think about like, do I really need to correct them? Like, is this really a big deal? So that could be true for a lot of things. Even if someone's giving you business advice that is wrong, you could just say, thanks. Maybe that could work. Whatever. Move on with your life. The next one, number 9, is stop being the realistic police. So this is kind of the same thing. I used to have this superiority complex in my 20s because I had gone to a traditional 4-year college. And then I had gotten a really great job at General Electric. And I had a 401k and I had stock options and I was traveling. So I clearly was very successful versus other people who did not follow in my same footsteps. So, there are many different paths that lead to Rome, right? And there are many different ways to get there. And not everybody was going to Rome. Tons of people are going to other things in life. There are people that would love to be a stay-at-home mom. There is nothing wrong with that. And so now my whole philosophy is, whatever people want to do, however crazy I think it is not my job to like police them and tell them how they should strive for more or their goals should be more aligned with what I think is valuable. I know it sounds obvious. I don't know why in my 20s I felt compelled to do that. I thought I was doing like this service for feminist, right? Because I went to an all-women's college and I was like, I should help educate all women that they should not strive to get married right away and have children. They should all have a career and they should go like, it was just crazy. So I don't do that anymore. And I can confirm I have more friends because of that. Number 10 is maintain high levels of integrity. And I never did this in my 20s. So I used to say yes to everything, even things I knew I didn't want to go to because I felt uncomfortable saying no or telling telling somebody I didn't want to do that, or I just wasn't interested in going out to brunch or doing a weekend trip to the Bahamas or something. And so when it came time to do something that I had said yes to that I didn't want to do, I would hide. Like I would just, or I'd say I forgot and I'd wait till they had left it from the airport and I would be like, oh, I totally forgot. I spaced it. Like I made so many excuses and it just made me look really flaky and like a bad friend when really I was just a big wimp. And so now my new philosophy is I immediately say no to every request and I only truly say yes to things that I really want to do. And I don't have a million friends. So back in my 20s, I had like, I don't know, let's say I want to go to lunch on Friday. I had like 100 people I could call in my Rolodex. And I'm not bragging because they weren't like close friends. They were all kind of like acquaintance kind of people. And you get all these different invites. And now I have like maybe 4 people I can call for lunch on Friday. And that's much better for me. I have closer relationships. I have higher quality relationships. I have better friends. And people, when they ask me to do things now, I genuinely do want to say yes because I actually like everybody that I have led into my life. So it's just a different sort of philosophy. And I think it makes me a better person because now I always say what I mean what I say. I show up when I say I'm going to show up. And if I've committed to do something, I will be there. So I think it makes me just a more responsible person. And I know I said 10, but the 11th and most important thing is I've learned to finally love being Korean. So in my 20s, like pretty much my whole life, and I think this is because I grew up in a small town, I just wanted to be blonde with blue eyes so badly. I used to pray every night, like, God, if you please just let me be blonde, like the girl who won the prom queen, or whatever it was, I promise I will never ask for anything else, right? So now that I'm older and the world is much more different than it was back when I was growing up in the 80s. And so now I like love being Asian. Like I didn't think I ever realized any of the advantages, right? Like my skin is always perfect. I don't have to worry about having skin problems. I don't have any wrinkles even at 47. I don't have any gray hair still. And I love my natural hair color. I can't believe I ever used to color my hair blonde and red and all these other things. And actually just on its own, it looks pretty great. As well as just being proud to be Korean. So I was talking on my YouTube channel on the other one about how I really want to write stories about being about characters who are Asian and Korean, specifically Korean adoptees like me. And I just feel like it's really important to provide that perspective. And it's something that, quite honestly, I was never comfortable with before. But now, not only am I comfortable with it, I'm actually very proud to be Korean. So that is my list of the 10 things that I do differently or believe differently or act differently now that I am 47 versus when I was back in my 20s. All right, I hope that gave you some perspective or some ideas on things that you might want to change or just some things that maybe resonated with you. And I know this is not a typical video about a tutorial or anything else, but I just thought I'd share. All right, I hope everyone's having a great day and I will see you guys tomorrow. Will I see you tomorrow? That's not true. I will see you later this week in another video. All right, bye.